Bluff City Media presents the Two Buck Sports Show. Stepping up to the microphone are your hosts, Drew Gann and Rusty Witten. Now, let's get to the show.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Two Buck Sports Show. I am grateful to be here with y'all tonight with my co-host, colleague, best friend, Uncle Buck. Uncle Buck, what's up, brother? I like that shirt, man. Looking fancy tonight.
What's cracking? I got on my I don't know, I feel like it's my youth minister special here.
That's what it looks like.
I came home yesterday. My wife went to the store to get some groceries and stuff, and she came home and handed me this shirt. I don't know if you can tell it, but they're little turtles.
No, that's cute.
Yeah, little turtles. And so I was like, well, I guess I'll have to wear it because, you know, she wants to be shouted out every week on the podcast. So, honey, since you're not listening again, just somebody let her know that I talked about the shirt that I like that she bought.
I'll make sure and let her know that she bought that you wore the turtle shirt and you're in the turtle club. Shout out Dana Carvey. Here on the Two Buck Sports Show, man. Yeah, it has been a wild sports week. We've had some highs and lows for both of the teams that we root for. The main team that we both root for is not even playing basketball anymore, though there's been some good basketball. This season, normally, you know, that's not a high for us, but that might be the best of the week is that the Grizzlies season has had a mercy killing and we are officially in Cabo or St. Lucia or wherever they are playing golf, banana boats, whatever's happening. But it's also been nice to kind of leisurely watch the playoffs and just be a fan of basketball and watch some great games that we'll get into in our second segment.
Yeah, no doubt. I've had a blast just watching games without any sort of rooting interest at all.
It's fun. It's fun to just be a fan of the game and watch, you know, the Knicks, that Knicks Sixers game and the Nuggets Lakers and just, again, we'll get all that in our second section. We have something to get to first, and that's our best in beef for the week. We do this every week, as Uncle Buck says. If you're new to our show, this is where we talk about non-sports stuff, the best thing that's happened to us in the last week and the worst thing that's happened to us in the last week. Again, usually not sports related, usually just general tomfoolery. So, Uncle Buck, we always start on a positive around here. Hit me with your best of the week.
Yeah, Buckets, I think you've kind of been in on this for me. So I did some home improvements on Saturday. So my dad and I built a deck. We built a deck above my decrepit little tile patio that came with the house. And it is both my best and beef of the week for many different reasons, but I'm really happy with how it turned out. It was an absolute chore because the deck is on three sides of the deck is a house. And so we had to assemble it in the yard and then move it into place. So it's just a whole big ordeal, but my wife's very happy with it. I extended it a little bit. So I've got more deck now than the old decrepit patio was. And Rusty, and I know you feel the same way because you've done some woodworking in the past, but it's like a lost art. It's a real high for homeowners and just grown men to do something with your hands. Yeah. And so I spent all day Saturday just cutting and measuring and drilling screws. I mean, it was a good day. Now I paid for it and I'll get to that in a minute, but yeah, I mean, it's just so nice to be able to build something for your family. And like immediately when it was done, I got all the praise, which is not what I do it for, but I mean, it helps, you know, when my wife looks at me and was like, I really like this deck. And I was like, thanks. I do too, you know, and then we just go outside and sit on the deck because what else do you do on a deck? Really? It's like building a floor, you know, nobody, you know, not much you can do other than walk and sit on it. So we've been doing plenty of that since it's been built. And so, yeah, it's just, I haven't conquered my grass problem yet, but I do have a new deck.
There you go. To look at your patchy backyard, right? Man,
my backyard looks like the top of Bucket's head.
Yours as well, sir. I want to just float that out there. But yeah, like there's nothing like that smell of sawdust and, you know, doing it with your dad or a buddy or just that camaraderie that comes with building something and watching it kind of come together. You know, I've built dining room tables and other tables and things in the past. And there's just something about just that being able to zone out and cut wood, get dirty and get your hands, roughed up a little bit.
Right.
It's a nice feeling to be able to get that done and actually have a product to be proud of afterwards. So you sent me a picture of it. It looks good. It's level from what I could tell. Further evaluation is needed. I need to come stand on it, consume a beverage, look out over the Serengeti as it is out there and in the back of the Gann household and try it out.
Well, it has not been tested as much as it would be tested if Rusty walks on it. I'll tell you this. I would just want to take a second now and public thank you to my father, who this is like the third or fourth deck he's built. He's gotten very good at it. I enjoy spending time with Dad. This is how we do Ole Miss baseball and home improvement projects, and we want to kill each other half the time. The rest of the time we're having a good time. And I really just want to say thanks because he showed up despite I also text Buckets here and cousin Kirk, and neither of them showed up to help my father. So it was a real father-son bonding moment that Rusty did not get to take part of.
Well, I mean, I guess in a roundabout way, you're welcome. You got some more bonding time with Andy, but
I mean, if it could have taken half the time, I would have. It'd have been okay.
Well, if it wasn't for my best of the week, I would have been there. So I just let you know that.
Well, tell us your best of the week then. If you're going to tease it, just give the people what they want.
It's moving, man. Like, it's exciting. Like, it's kind of a best in beef this week. I'll get to the beef part of it here in a minute, but it's just exciting. I was able to get the keys to my new rental house this past weekend and put a lot of stuff, got it set up, starting to slowly get settled in. Next weekend will be the official move-in weekend. I'll get my bed set up, get all my clothes, all my stuff out of the rental house I'm here in Martin to the house in Memphis. And so just new beginnings are coming at a much needed time. Grateful for opportunities that get me here in the Mid-South, but really excited for this next chapter in Memphis and what all it entails. And the new job starts on May the 6th. And so really excited to for a new challenge and a new chapter and a new wake up over there. A new
sorry, I had a hiccup out of nowhere.
Yeah, it surprised everybody, including Uncle Buck. But yeah, just getting moved in. It's a great neighborhood. I'm in a great spot there in East Memphis. So super excited about that and what that's going to entail. But the best part, my best of the week is the best part of moving, which is the new and exciting part.
Right.
More to come on the rest here in a minute.
Oh yeah. I think both of our best comes with their fair share of beefs.
Yeah, for sure.
Just finish your thought and just give us your beef then.
So transition to beef, man. Moving sucks. Like you have to pack everything.
So bad.
It sucks so bad. The logistics part. It's expensive. Gas is $3.50 right now most places, and like driving that big old truck all around. And I shout out my brother Clark, let me borrow his trailer, but as has been detailed on this show in the past, my truck has a bit of a little wobble to it, a little limp to it right now. So
not like swag, but like broke down.
That's it. Like we got a little vibration in there. I had some coffee sitting in the console, and I looked at it when I had that trailer and was going down 72, and I'm like, I don't know if this is a Mississippi highway or if it's my truck, but that coffee was starting a little whirlpool in it, and the answer is probably yes. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the moving sucks. You're having to pick up stuff. Friend of the podcast, Daniel Holmes, Coach Holmes, come over and help me unload some of the bigger items. I appreciate that, including my grandfather's desk that is entirely too big. I'm glad to have it because it's his desk and he worked at it forever. That joker is big and it is solid. And so thank you, Coach Holmes, for coming to help. But just the soreness, the money, the logistics of moving sucks. And so grateful to have some of it behind me with more to come, I guess. But moving just sucks, man.
I feel like moving is one of those things like, okay, so you look at your calendar and you're like, okay, this is my last day at work. This is when I'll move. And this is my first day at work. But moving is never that quick. You can't, it's not a weekend thing. You may pack up and move in one weekend, but settling in is like a week's long progress.
Weeks, because you'll get it organized, and then you realize, well, that could be more efficient, or where did I put that? And like the house I'm moving into, it's got storage space, but it doesn't have like just copious amounts. So I'm gonna have to be real strategic with where I put things, how I put things, and so part of that's fun too, kind of get it set up. But then it's like, crap, I shouldn't have put that in the attic, or I wish that was somewhere else, right? So again, part of that's fun. It's a fun part of moving, but at the same time, it's just like the feeling of being unsettled, right? Because I've got stuff now in Myrtle Beach, in Corinth, in Martin, and in Memphis, and kind of all around. And it's just feeling very unsettled. And you and I have talked about this.
Right.
We are both very much creatures of habit, routine. Don't throw it off. Like, even if it's like really busy, it's still routine that I understand. And so moving also disrupts the feng shui, as one might say.
Right.
And I'm ready to have that back.
All right, I'll give you $10 if you can spell feng shui.
Bro, I can't even pronounce half these names we say, right? You think I'm going to spell it?
Yeah.
We went to the same public high school.
One of the biggest fights my wife and I got into when we were moving was over where you put things in the drawers. And for me, I'm a practical person, and I'm an over analyzer. I'm very analytical. And so my process was, okay, here's the oven. What do I want close to the oven? I want my forks and spoons. I want pot holders and maybe some Tupperware all right there, and then I would look for it, and it would be by the refrigerator. And I'm like, honey, why are the forks by the refrigerator? And she's just like, because that's where I put them. Why do you not like where I put anything? And I'm like, it doesn't make sense. Like, I want to have to, if I want to try the spaghetti on the oven, I have to walk to the refrigerator to get a fork. Like, just put it here. And so luckily we have all the drawers are matching. So just one day I just pulled out the drawers and put it where I wanted to.
I mean,
I'm very difficult to live with.
I have zero. You're difficult to do a podcast with, and all the things. I have zero doubt about that.
Yeah, my beef of the week is the dark side of building a deck, and that is the fact. And let me preface this by saying, like, I know you guys are going to look at this podcast. You know me; it's video now, and so you're like, well, you're not in the best shape, anyways. Okay, I get it. I need to do better. But the damage it does to a person to be on their hands and knees for 2 days doing manual labor is just, I'm not built for it. You got to think, like, and it's also hard because I'm a short person, so I can't really do a lot of work over my head. It's hard to reach things, but then everything on the ground is just like, I don't know how people do flooring for a living or plumbing or any of those other trades. Like, you've earned every penny that you've ever made if you do those careers, because all you're doing is crawling around on your hands and knees all the time. And that's what I felt like I did for 2 days. Is I hauled in wood, and then I sawed it, and then I walked it over, and then I got on my hands and knees and screwed it in, and it's rough on the old body. We talked about it last week on the show. Like 32, or actually I talked about it with on the Daily Grind with Luke. So like 32 just hits different. Luke said he's 34, and it catches up with you. It takes a little bit to recover when you get into
wait
your 30s,
till you're 37.
Yeah. And so it just wore on me. My dad, we had a little step that had those little pavers, the little tiles on it. And we were just like a fraction, like an eighth of an inch, a little too long, and it wasn't wanting to get in. So we were busting those tiles out, and I was having to hold up the frame with the floor joist while Dad was hammering those tiles out. And 2 times in a row, he smacked me with the claws of the hammer on my middle finger on my hand here and opened me up there. And then we went to go set it down, and Haley dropped it quicker than I did. And then this middle finger gets smashed, and I threw a hammer. And so I'm like, you leave with battle scars, This is not a safe game that we do here, especially as amateurs. There's not been a project at Home Improvement where I don't leave bleeding,
I think that's a common occurrence, right? Like you said, you're going to have battle scars, emotional scars from throwing hammers and yelling at people for dropping floor joists too quickly, missing and hitting your hands, splinters, you measure once, cut twice kind of thing, right? Oh yeah. Yeah. Then you measure once, cut twice, all the things that come with projects like this. Yeah, man, like you said, crawling on hands and knees is not for the faint of heart. There's a reason we grow out of that pretty quickly, but when our bones are still bendy and rubbery, we can do that. As we get older and bigger, and we ain't meant to be. And I'm on the opposite end of that spectrum.
Yeah.
Right. I'm on the opposite end of that spectrum. I'm 6'5". I'm 240. This morning I was 242 pounds. I don't fit in small spaces very well. So plumbing, God did not put me together to be a plumber. He did not make me to lay carpet and put flooring down. I'll do it, like you said, for a weekend. I'll pay for it. but my hat's off to our brothers and sisters who lay flooring and plumbers and HVAC work. I was talking to a patient this week. He's a retired plumber, and he said he got under a house one time and couldn't get back out. He had to go and he had to start digging out a hole underneath one of the little vents in the base, the crawl space, to get out. And I'm like, dude, I'd have straight up had just like a moment of that, like that guy that cuts like that guy that cuts his arm off to get out. Like I'd have been like cutting off a body part for no reason, just trying to get out of there.
Shout out to our Kossuth folks who know him. Brad Clark, you know Brad?
Oh yeah.
He's as big as you are. I came home to my parents' house one day and he was underneath their sink plumbing, and that is a big dude.
Filled up that cabinet.
Yeah. It had the divider in between the cabinets, and I was like, dude, we're gonna have to cut that thing out. Like
he was on both sides of it.
He's just a big guy. I mean, he is not a fat guy either. I mean, he is just a well put together 6'6" dude.
Well fed. He is a well fed Kossuth boy.
Country strong, as we call him. But yeah. And I'll say, just to put a bow on it, and then we'll go to our next segment where we talk about the NBA, and we're going to talk about a bunch of other stuff. All things considered, the back pain, the bloody knuckles, everything, I'd do it again tomorrow. It was worth it. There's just, like I said earlier, there's nothing like the sense of satisfaction when you put that last screw in. You just stand up, stretch your back, and you're just like, dang, that's a good looking deck.
And nothing like that first beverage after. We've done like the best beers on the show in the past, and that post woodworking project. I remember another Kossuth guy, Tim Bradley, and I were the ones that built my table. He helped me build that table because I went to the Votech and turned those legs on that lathe. I don't know if you remember that or not. That was the most therapeutic thing I've ever done, was being covered in sawdust with that lathe, just turning those legs. And like you said, man, like I get why Tim Allen grunted on Home Improvement all the time. Like it's just something primal about that.
So, all right, well, that's it for our first segment, our Bucks best and our Bucks beef of the week. In our second segment, we're going to talk about the NBA playoffs, first round. But full disclosure, right now, we probably should have told you this already. It is Wednesday night, April the 24th, when we're recording this. Rusty is going to South Carolina, starting his vacation tomorrow on Thursday, and so we're recording this a day early. As we're recording this, the Heat and the Celtics are playing game number 2. We're going to get game 2 of, help me out here, who am I missing?
Pelicans Thunder tonight.
Pelicans Thunder.
Yeah.
And I think that's it for tonight. So we're going to get those. So we'll talk about it up till Wednesday night, the 24th. We're also going to get some NFL draft stuff later. Just stick with us. But before the first break, let me tell you about Vicky Gann, CPA. If her name sounds familiar, it's because she has my name, or rather, I have her name. She is my mother. Vicky Gann is a CPA with 25 years of experience, and she offers accounting services, income tax, payroll preparation, payroll tax, anything you need as far as the IRS goes. Vicky Gann can help you out. I know tax season is over, but there's a lot of people that have or need to file extensions. Hit her up for that. She can handle that. If you have a small business or know somebody else that has a small business who uses QuickBooks to do their payroll or would like to get started, call Vicky Gann. She can help you set it up. And if you got questions once you get it set up, she can help you out by troubleshooting all those problems. So call Vicky Gann. Her phone number is 662-415-6446, or you can reach her at her email at vickyganncpa@gmail.com. That's VICKIGANNCPA@gmail.com. And with that being said, Rusty, take us to our first break.
Not just the level of individual talent that he plays with, but it's also the level of his mind. We haven't gotten cross-court open shot this year. Right. We haven't seen that pass a lot. Number one, you got to respect him going to the basket. There's a roller. I got to watch the roller. He has the mind to be able to say, I see all of that, but now I see this guy over here. I'm going to get him this open shot. How shifty he is to always be going forward. It's usually side to side. Yeah. His dribble moves are side to side, but going forward. Right. Which is very hard to defend. I just want to get you, as many times can I get you to do this? But for him, it's not here. It is here. which is are his moves to get down the floor. It's awkward for a defender to try to catch a cadence. You dribble. So now what I do is when you go put that ball down, I'm going for it. But with him, it's hard for my cadence. But what's my cadence for you? I don't know what it is.
Tune in to the Anthony Sane Show Wednesdays and Fridays at 12 p.m. weekly on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Who do you need to step it up? Outside of David Jones, I think David Jones is David Jones.
I don't think you need him to step it up because he's been performing.
Yeah, he's David Jones. Outside of him, he's fine.
I think Quinterly needs to play better.
In what way? He's facilitating the ball well. What do you I don't.
To a 12 from the field's not cutting it.
It's not great. It's not great.
And I don't need a runner 3 from the top of the key with 3.5 seconds left.
Is Virginia the game where Jordan Brown is going to cook? Those dudes aren't looking to run the ball.
Cook what? Dude, I thought he was going to have a freaking night. He came out with that fresh cut, lined up, and then literally within the first 15 seconds missed a wide open layup. And then picked up 2 fouls right away.
I feel real lied to because I thought we were getting a 20 and 10 guy.
Didn't think it did anything for you.
Well, I think
we all thought we were getting a 20 and 10 guy. And we are getting that in David Jones.
I'm not even getting 20 or 10 minutes out of the guy.
Tune in to Tigers Untapped with TJ Willis and Trey Lasley every Wednesday at 3 p.m. on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to segment 2 of the $2 Sports Show. Just a reminder, $5 a month at bluffcity.co gets you access to the Discord. Uncle Buck and I, all the great content creators you just saw in the previous ad, all the ones coming up in the future one. Forgive me if I'm stumbling through this. I had a massive sneeze right as we were coming back, so I'm still trying to recover. My smooth brain is still bouncing around in there like a cue ball in there. But anyway, $5 a month gets you access to the Discord, gets you access to some future polls, drafts, things that we're going to do. A lot of great content coming up this all season. So join that Discord. As Uncle Buck said last week, if you join, send us a screenshot. We will Venmo you, cover your first month joining the Discord at bluffcitymedia.co. Uncle Buck, we are in basketball playoff time. The NBA playoffs are going on right now, which is some of the best in sports, really, in my opinion, because a lot of the cream rises to the top. You get really good basketball. We've had some really good basketball games. That Nuggets 20-point comeback win over the Lakers comes to mind. The New York freaking Knicks, man, with that huge win. We got a double bang on DiVincenzo's deep 3 to win that game. Mike Conley had a welcome back game last night with 18 for the T-Wolves as they are in the driver's seat against the Phoenix Suns after even a pedestrian night by Anthony Edwards last night. So what are some playoff thoughts? I kind of covered a lot there. What's been your takeaway so far this week from the NBA playoff?
If you just want to give a quick, let's do it this way. I'm going to go through the series. Obviously, there's some of these that you don't want to talk about. For instance, right now, the Heat and Celtics are, it's the Heat are winning by 1. 3 minutes ago in the second quarter here. Do you have any thoughts, Heat Celtics? I think Celtics are going to sweep them. Who cares?
Yep. Yeah, break out the brooms. Boston.
Oh, is that what that
That was a sweeping motion. That's sweeping.
Oh, okay. All right.
Come on, man. Keep up.
Sweep. Pelicans Thunder. You have any thoughts?
I hope New Orleans can pull it out. I am anti-OKC. I don't know that they can. Other than that, without Zion, I don't know that New Orleans has much of a shot. But maybe they'll pull out a win Wednesday night. Yeah,
I think this is going to be if game 1 is in any indication of anything, this series is going to be a lot more difficult than once thought for Oklahoma City. I thought that was a low-scoring defensive battle, really. Yeah. And when you've got guys like Herb Jones on New Orleans who can guard your best player to the level that he does, it does make it hard. And the longer this series goes, I think the more New Orleans fans have to think like, okay, when's Zion coming back? If this thing goes, 6 or 7 games, there's an opportunity that he comes back to close this series out.
And that's what I'm saying. He will absolutely bully Chet or anybody they put down there on him because, especially with the way he was playing, obviously there'll be a little warm-up time coming back from an injury, but they can get playoff Zion back. Whew.
Yeah, and Jonas Valanciunas is going to have the series of his life here, just because Oklahoma City is not physical in the middle. You know, their big guy is Chet, who is 7 foot 165.
Yeah,
maybe.
Maybe.
And so he he looks 125.
Yeah.
But I think that series is interesting. Another one that I'm not very interested in the Cleveland has a 2-0 lead on Orlando. Do you have any thoughts? I haven't watched any of these games. I just feel like Donovan Mitchell in the playoffs is a different animal.
Yeah, and the more it goes on, the less likely they are going to blow it up. Jared Allen's probably not become available as a trade target that I'd hope for. I like the Magic. They're young, they're talented, but they're still miles away from. It's way too early. Paolo's going to be a great player. I like Wendell Carter Jr., also a possible future Grizz. I like a lot of their pieces. They just ain't got the dogs yet, nor the experience. So that's it.
Yeah, to go back to, you talked about future Grizz. I'm going to steal one of, I watched a little bit of the Grizz 901 weekly show that Daniel and Nate are doing on a weekly basis in the offseason. And a name that Daniel floated out as a potential target or an idea for the center position, or a name that we were familiar with, bring back Jonas. And I love the idea.
I thought that a couple of times, but I didn't think it would happen.
Credit. If you don't have the balls enough to say it, don't take credit.
I'm just saying, I've watched him play, and I'm like, man, like, it'd be nice to have Jonas back. That's my thought. Not like, let's go get him, but like, it'd be nice to have him back because he fits this team really well. Shout out Daniel Greer. That's a great idea.
Yeah. You need a physical rebounder, a big body who sets good screens. We've got the last two centers the Grizzlies have been the most physical screen setters in NBA history.
Absolutely.
So just go get the other one. Go get your ex. I like the idea.
I do too. That's one ex that we'll welcome back into the fold.
Oh yeah. So, Pacers Bucks. The Pacers did even the series on Tuesday night against the Bucks in kind of runaway fashion here. They won 125-108. The Bucks, obviously, just like the Pelicans, they're missing their best player. Giannis is down with a quad or a calf pull. So some people think that this made this a really competitive series, and so far it has been.
Yeah, I mean, Dame can win this series for Milwaukee if he can. We can go on Dame time, but Halliburton's been kind of a sleeping giant. He hadn't been playing great as of late. If he can figure it out, I think this series could be interesting. Pascal had 37 Tuesday night. He really stepped up for Indiana. He's so good. It's a sneaky series. It's not one that I'm paying a ton of attention to because I think there are better options, but it could be a sneaky good series.
Yeah, so I was just looking up Halliburton's lines here. So I know Tuesday night's game, he only had 12 points. In game one, he only had 9, and he only took 7 shots. And so there's something weird going on there because I think there's a lot of speculation that he wanted to get to that 65 game mark so that he could make the All-NBA team. Obviously, that kicks in. Supermax contracts down in the future, all this other kind of stuff. And so he may have rushed his injury to get to that 65 game mark, and that he's not fully healthy right now.
Sure.
If that's the case, it obviously gives him a reason for how he struggled in the first 2 games. But if the Pacers are going to have a shot with this Giannis-less Bucks, he's going to have to be really good. Let's move on, though, because I think we've got the series out of the way that we haven't really paid much attention to.
Yeah.
Because there's a few series here that's just like can't miss TV.
Absolutely.
And we're going to start with last night. The Mavericks evened the series 1-1, stole a game on the road in LA against the Clippers. Luka just went nuclear, hit a huge shot, and then proceeded to look at the crowd and just yell some obscenities about himself and scream. And it was, the kind of guy you want to play with,
Yeah. It made me like him that much more. Last year when they picked up Kyrie, I said they'd miss the playoffs, and I was right about that. I don't know they're going to get back in there this year.
The situation was terrible the last year.
For sure. But they look much more cohesive this year. Kyrie had 23 last night. Just looked at every part of the facilitator. He's so good with the basketball in his hand. Yeah. Even though he did not make Team USA and was a little bit salty about it.
If you're going to have like anti-Semitic remarks, then you're not going to be on Team USA. That's kind of a rule.
Sorry about it, Bubba. Like you don't get to play if you don't behave. That's Mama League
Right.
101, right? If you can't act good at home, you ain't gonna be able to go outside and play.
My parents said the same thing, and I say the same thing to my kids. Like, you ain't act good here, you ain't gonna go there.
No, so you can't behave, man. You're gonna be watching from the sideline, Kyrie. But
and unfortunately for Grizz fans, Anthony Edwards has got the spot that we all kind of laid aside for Ja. If Ja doesn't act up, and he's paying the piper now. So luckily for Ja, and maybe not for Kyrie, Ja's going to be around for 4 more years. He'll have a shot. In 4 years, you're probably not going to have LeBron, KD, a bunch of these other guys.
That's wild.
Steph, who knows? So that series was the one for me, or one of the 2 must-watch series for me. And I think that I'm really happy that the Mavericks got that game on the road, because I'm low-key pulling for Dallas. That deep buried Clippers resent. I still hold on to that for reasons that I don't really know why. None of their Flop City guys are there. Their coach Doc's not there.
But they got James Harden, and I don't like James Harden. I like Paul George. Personally, I like Russell Westbrook. I like some of what they do.
I like Kawhi.
I like Kawhi. I don't like James Harden, and I really don't like the Mavericks. My brother is a Mavericks fan. I liked them like when they had Dirk and all those guys. I just don't know what it is. Like, I wish, I don't really have a reason. I don't care for Dallas for some reason, but I care.
Old Southwest Division.
Maybe
rivalry. Maybe
I like Luka, and I like a lot of what they're doing. I don't like Kyrie. I don't know. They're just a team that I don't like, and I can't really put my finger on why. But I like them. I like the Clippers less than I like the Mavs. So I'm all in Dallas to win this series in advance, and so hopefully that's what we'll get. But I think we're in for a lot more basketball games like we had Tuesday night.
And this series is important because I truly believe the winner of this Mavs-Clippers series will beat Oklahoma City or New Orleans in the next round. I truly believe that whoever comes out of this 4 or 5 matchup will be in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, facing the inevitable.
Yeah. So next we've got, let's see. Let's talk about the Lakers Nuggets. A rematch of the Western Conference Finals last year in which the Nuggets swept them. I'm telling you, the biggest kick to the groin of all kick to the groins for the Lakers was losing that game in which they had a 20-point lead, losing on a buzzer beater by Jamal Murray in Denver. I mean, amazing. And just to make it better, and I'm not a LeBron hater. I honestly find myself defending him a lot of times because politics, antics aside, I respect the fact that he is a 39-year-old dude who is still keeps reinventing ways to be really amazing in the NBA. Absolutely. And he's a good dad. I find myself defending him. But for him to have a wide open 3 to win it and just clank it, followed up by Jamal Murray, ISO, fade away, mid-range shot to win it.
Yeah.
And game winners are always more fun when they favor the home team.
Yeah, too. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that series may be over. I don't know.
It is. It's not going to be a gentleman's sweep. This is a 4-0 sweep. The Lakers look tired. The irony is not missed on me that AD said I'm the best defender in the world, but I don't get any DPOY love. And then they purposely rolled him on Jamal Murray for that last shot. Also, I said this on the Daily Grind. I'll stand by and say it here. Those 5280 uniforms, I love those. I'm here for those. I think they look awesome. It's a cool concept. The Mile High City with the mile on it. I think it's a cool City Edition jersey. But that corner shot in front of the bench, and shout out, KCP, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, for protecting AD, who's well known to be made of paper mache, dove in to save his former teammate from getting mauled and injured and out for the rest of the playoffs. I am absolutely certain.
Yeah, he's a bigger man than me. That was just, I think that series is over because I wouldn't be surprised if the road team, the lower seed, their best chance of winning a game is their first playoff game at home, and that's game 3 when they come back home. I think that the Lakers can and probably should win game 3 because they're going to have, that they're playing at home for the first time. There's a lot of excitement that goes into that. There's a lot of, you get amped up for that game. I just think it's over anyways. When you lose the first 2 games, you put yourself in a situation where you have to win 4 out of 5 games.
Yeah.
To advance. And you're just not going to do that against this Nuggets team. Not against, they've got the best player in the NBA and they run the best offense in the NBA. They have that weird pairing, and you may have had a little, the pinnacle of the Spurs is the only thing I can think of where you had the best player in the NBA and Tim Duncan, but you also played completely selfless basketball and just fluid offense. And they've got that mix. I don't know that anybody's going to beat them again this year.
No, and nobody's going to beat up a Nuggets fan in the stands with Nikola Jokic's older brother out there throwing freaking haymakers. Which, shout out to that little guy. He wore that. Like, he dotted his eye. He wore it and didn't go down. But that is a bear that's punching him in the face, by the way.
Yeah, he may not be one. They're going to be looking for him at Staples soon. They ain't going to let him in the doors.
No,
neither of them. So let's talk about the granddaddy of them all. And that was
in my veins.
We knew this going into it. I said it on the Daily Grind with Luke that this is the reason why I hoped that Philly would win that playing game, because Philly and Knicks has been awesome. I mean, just must see TV and controversy galore after game 2. If you didn't watch it, the Knicks were up most of the game, and then the Sixers made a run, and with a 5-point lead with 35 seconds to go, Brunson hits the front iron on a 3-point shot that somehow bounces in. Like, you'd think, physics, if something, here's the basket, here's the ball, something goes this way, it's going this way. Nope, not with Jalen Brunson. It's going to hit, and it's going to go, it's going to keep going in the direction in which it was traveling. I've had lots of physics classes as an engineering major.
Sure.
Don't know how that happened, but he got the friendly home bounce on that rim in Madison Square Garden to go in, only for the Knicks just to the Sixers just freaked out. And it wasn't all, they got mauled. Maxey got mauled. He got held on the inbounds play. Then he got knocked down. And props for letting the game go. Like, I hate when allow me to talk out of both sides of my mouth for a second. So I love the fact that they let the guys play, let the players decide the game. However, I'm also firmly in the camp of don't gripe about a foul called on a buzzer beater if it's a foul the rest of the game.
Right.
As a viewer, I am very much I root for letting the people play, although I do sympathize with people who, with the referee or officials that make calls in critical times, because it's a foul,
Yeah.
So Hartenstein made a huge, DiVincenzo,
huge.
Yeah. A melee on the floor with I can't even remember who ended up with the ball. Maybe Anunoby kicks it out to DiVincenzo, bricks the 3, and with 4 Sixers guys standing there, Hartenstein goes in and gets the ball, swings it to Anunoby, who swings it to DiVincenzo and knocks down the 3, and you just hear bang, bang, bang! For the 6th time in history, you got the Mike Breen double bang, and I am standing running around in this den right here with my wife and my kids asleep all around me. If you can't tell, on the other side of this wall here is our nursery with 2 sleeping kids in it, and I'm just running laps while my wife's telling me to shut up. And the double bang, 10 out of 10.
Yeah, one of the best calls in sports and one of the best finishes to a playoff game. And you got sad Joel Embiid, and the NBA last 2-minute report did say that they might have got hosed there, that Nick Nurse should have got that timeout, that Maxey was absolutely fouled. But
twice.
Yeah.
Last 2-minute report said they should have given Nurse the timeout, and Maxey got fouled twice. However, if you're Nick Nurse, you don't just stand meekly on the sideline doing this. You go get in that official's face and demand to be granted.
I'm jumping, I'm waving, timeout. I'm jumping jacks like I'm pitching a fit.
Grizzlies fans will remember when Taylor Jenkins ran out on the court to guard a point guard
to get a timeout
because he was mad at a call. You get that dude's attention. You just, at that point, it's a the Knicks are losing by 2, and he's wanting that timeout. So the worst case scenario is you go get a technical, and they're shooting 1 free throw, and then you get to inbound it again.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. You cause a ruckus, as Jerry Clower would say. You go make sure that timeout is called. But at the end of the day, we've got a 2-0 series lead for the Knicks heading back to Philly. And hey, listen, that Philly home crowd, that's a real thing. Sports in Philadelphia is a real thing. So this could very easily go back to Madison Square Garden tied at 2 games apiece. I think so. If Joel Embiid could get healthy, but he's just not healthy, man. He does not look the part. Just a simple bunny dunk, and he went down with that knee.
Right.
He does not look healthy at all.
You can look at this 2 different ways, and Brunson has not been very good up until that he hit that. He got the immaculate deflection, from the rim to get that ball to go, that 3-pointer to go in the other night. But outside of that, he has not been good in this series. And so if you're a Knicks fan, you're just like, okay, we're 2-0 without Brunson being good. And if you're a Sixers fan, you're just like, well, nobody other than Joel Embiid has really been good. Typically role players play better at home, so maybe they can actually get something out of the contract of Tobias Harris, or Buddy Hield, as
Kelly Oubre. Somebody will play some good basketball.
Right. So if you are a Sixers fan, you're like, oh, you lost 2 heartbreakers, so go home and get your role guys going. Yeah. And you've got to hold serve. If the Lakers or the Sixers, if they don't hold serve in Game 3 at home, the series is going to be quickly over.
Yeah, I mean, it might be a gentleman's sweep 4-1, but if they don't win Game 3, it's over. I don't. Right. Especially the Lakers, if they don't win that first game at home, as tired as they look, that series never goes back to Denver. It is just no way.
And if it does, I mean, it'll be over at that point.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You're talking about role players. Like OG Anunoby hasn't been very good so far in the playoffs. He's been fine. He hadn't been very good in the playoffs. You get him going in the Villanova 3, that Knicks team is going to be tough to beat. And like I said on the Daily Grind, I don't know that they're a team that could win the East, but they could very easily find themselves in a position to do that because they're just gritty and they're killers and they're TIB teams, right? They're just tough that you don't want to play them because they're going to beat you up. They're going to run the floor. They're going to score. And, I mean, that's a tough brand of basketball this time of the year when you got tired legs across the court from you.
I heard you say that, and my only thing, I think I would pick the Knicks to come out of the East at this point. I don't know if that's a particularly hot take, considering they're the 2 seed. Giannis is down, but they remind me of that Heat team as an 8 seed that made it last year. I mean, they're just gritty, man. Yeah, they're a team that you feel afterwards. It's like building a deck. You go build a deck, well, you're gonna feel it the next day, and that's the same way with the Knicks. You're going to feel playing them the next day.
And Boston's not tough. They're not. They're very moody. They get down on themselves. They beat each other up. Jaylen Brown he'll go completely AWOL. And Jason Tatum's the only one carrying that team. I mean, you're right.
I get more concerned in big games with Tatum, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, because
they have made the finals, and then they were up. Actually, that was a different finals. I'm sorry, but they made the finals and did not do well, and so I don't really, for some reason, they're a team that even though they've made the finals with this core, I still kind of have to see it to believe it.
Yeah.
And they've been front runners all year long. They've been dominant. But you throw a wrench in there like the New York Knicks and how they play, that style of play, I love it, man. I want to see them make a run. I think that, and I'm not a fan of big market teams just kind of as a rule, but Madison Square Garden is a special place when that Knicks team is good.
Yeah.
And I really want to see in my lifetime, I want to see a Knicks NBA Finals in MSG.
I literally got chills thinking about that because, that'd be incredible. It feels like Denver's inevitable, but that'd be cool to see.
I'm calling it Grizz Knicks next year in the NBA Finals.
Let's go. Oh, my gosh. That's incredible.
Clip that, Kenny. Grizz Knicks,
Kenny, there it is.
2025.
Yeah, there it is. We're at minute 46. We're going to clip that, put that on there. But, if Hartenstein's playing well, then the Celtics don't really have an answer for it. Porzingis isn't going to be able to do much with a big guy that can move like that. The Knicks could give them trouble. But like you said, that's the thing with these. They're like those old grit, grind, Grizz teams. nobody really expects him to do anything, but we're going to beat you up. And then the next thing you know, we're in the Western Conference Finals, right? We just bully our way in there. And that's exactly what they're going to do.
Yeah. I think that's where I put my money. And I feel like I could get pretty good odds right now, even still with, just getting Knicks NBA Finals odds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm here for it, man.
You got any other comments, concerns, questions on the NBA playoffs as it stands right now?
I don't think so. By the time y'all are watching this, the Thursday night games have happened. I think that the Cavs will be up 3-0. I think the Knicks will be up 3-0. And I think the Nuggets will also be up 3-0. I could be wrong, but that's where we're at.
I will say two of those teams, 0-2 teams will get a win. I think Orlando will get a win, and I think that Philly's going to win.
Oh, you think Philly?
After I have, spoke the praises of the New York Knicks for about 10 minutes now, I'm going to say Philly gets the win there. I stand by it, though, because I've said this series is one of the best series. I honestly feel like, so that's the 2-7 series, so they'll feed into the 3-6 series, which that'll be the easy. That's going to feel the winner of I'll say it just like I said it with the Mavs and Clippers. Winner of Mavs and Clippers will be in the Western Conference Finals. Mm-hmm. The winner of Knicks and Sixers will be in the Eastern Conference Finals because they'll play the winner of Indiana and Milwaukee.
Yeah, I believe that. Also, what a bad year. Oh, we're losing power over there in Ripley. Go Power Ranger. I'll say I saw this on Twitter. This is not an original take. It just popped up on my ESPN app as I'm looking through some of the stats here. What a bad year for us to suck. Because that NBA playoffs, that video with like the old star and new star back and forth for these teams is awesome. We are very pro hype videos on this podcast, on this show. And this is one of the best ones I've seen in a long time with Donovan and LBJ. They're just so good, man. And why do we have to suck? We could have such a cool video with with Mark and Tripp, which really wouldn't be that much of a throwback because that happened. But there could have been some cool videos of John, Mike that they could have thrown up there. But alas, there's always next year.
Yep.
All right, we'll see you on the other side for our final segment of the show. We're going to talk NFL draft, other sports tomfoolery. You never know what else we'll get into.
I'm just big on being able to vocalize what someone's role is. I always thought my best coaches were the people that let me know exactly what you expect from me. Now, I might not like it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Right. But if you come to me man to man to say, this is how we think we're gonna play you. Bang, 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 and hopefully everybody understand. I'm not saying that this has not been done with this team. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying from my experience, we all have egos when we get to this game. Right. All of us, to the last person on the bench, you got an ego, but all of us can't be the man. Yeah, you got to be able to say, okay, he's the man, but what do I do and what can I do to help us be good? And if it's vocalized to you, then you know exactly what. And if I'm out there doing it, and now I'm not getting the result from you, now we got to sit down and have another conversation. Mm-hmm. But as long as it is told to you, this is what we expect from you, this is how we want you to play, then I feel like, again, keeping this logo. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Tune in to The Anthony Sane Show, Wednesdays and Fridays at 12 p.m. weekly on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel. All right, Christian.
Yes.
You are Penny Hardaway.
I'm not.
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Today, you're going to play act, okay? Gabe, because you're a Jordan Brown apologist, you're going to be Jordan Brown.
I'm a Jordan Brown apologist. Okay.
Okay.
I'll take that.
Y'all are sitting across the room from each other.
I said, don't tweet him hate. And he's like, you're an apologist. Like, good God. But either way, continue. We're in a room together.
Why did things break down?
Jordan, we brought you in this year to be the centerpiece of our offense. You came in out of shape. Let's call it what it is. Call a spade a spade. We play fast. Told you this when we were recruiting you. We play fast. One of the fastest paces in the country. You have to be able to get up and down the floor. You have failed at that.
Oh, well, I'm leaving. So it's fine.
Cool. Tune in to On the Bluff with Christian Fowler and Gabe Kuhn every Tuesday at 12 p.m. on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Well, welcome back to the $2 Sports Show. Uncle Buck is doing the $2 after dark over there as he's having some lighting difficulties.
I've had to mix and match some light bulbs, so I've got half the light over here and more light over here, and it's just kind of a gray blob at this point. So I'm gonna have to be professional podcasters at some point and get the ring light. I just feel like it's coming.
Yeah, I agree. You know, I've got this little light bulb over here, makes me look kind of yellow and pasty and all the things. And so I think at some point we need some professional lighting. But in the meantime, you get what you pay for. So
yeah, amen.
But coming up, we have got the NFL draft kicking off Thursday night. By the time you listen to this on Friday, the first round will have happened. So you'll be able to see if what we're reading in these mock drafts and talking about actually happens. Drew, I don't think there's any drama with that first overall pick. I think the Bears are going to draft Justin Fields 2.0 just with fingernail paint, and Caleb Williams is going number 1 overall.
I'm telling you, I think you've got to take him, but I'm scared to death. I mean,
he's nothing about
and maybe
him.
it's old school. Maybe it's old school thinking, you know, football guys got to be rough and tough, and this is 2024, and men are this, or we're not. You know, none of these guys are Roger Staubach ripping a cig on the sideline. You know, and maybe that's what I think of quarterbacks as such a leadership position, and I think, are the offensive line going to block for a guy who walks up day one into training camp with his fingernail polished and who just had GQ pictures taken with a dress on? You know, like, I just don't know if they're going to. You got to be able to rally the troops, and maybe he's got the talent enough to do that. And ultimately, winners win the locker room over.
But
day one's going to be tough.
Yeah, and he didn't do enough at USC for me to be like, this guy's a can't miss winner. You know, he cried after losing to Washington. Imagine what's going to happen when he goes to Lambeau for the first time and it's frozen and those people are rowdy.
Yeah.
I mean, I just like nothing about, and I may be completely wrong. I may be eating crow on the show in 5 years when he's the next, Patrick Mahomes. I just never, it's Chicago. And I've been a Bears fan since I was a kid. That's my NFC team. I've watched quarterbacks come and go. You know, a defense took Rex Grossman to the Super Bowl, and all Rex Grossman had to do was not turn the ball over, and he fumbled twice. And so, like, the Bears don't develop quarterbacks very well. A. B. Caleb Williams did not show me a ton at USC that proved to me that he is the consensus number 1 overall pick that's going to change the Chicago Bears franchise. He couldn't beat Utah. Yeah. He got blown out by Tulane. Like,
nobody beats Utah.
That's true.
We talked about this in football season. Nobody beats Utah.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. But I don't know. I don't get the hype. I may be completely wrong. You know, that's why I'm here and not on ESPN, I'm sure, but I just don't get the hype.
Well, and you have the face for radio.
Absolutely. Face paid for radio.
So let's compare these quarterbacks to each other. Then we've kind of talked about how the college success of Caleb Williams leaves a lot to be desired, and should that be a red flag? If you compare that to a guy like JJ McCarthy, who's lost 2 games in his football playing career, if that's the only check mark you're looking for, is JJ McCarthy? I mean, right now the Ringer has him projected to go 5 to the Minnesota Vikings. Do you love that intangible winner? Is that enough to make you draft a quarterback?
No, I don't. I think there's some better pieces in this draft. Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, Joe Alt, Brock Bowers, who I think we'll get to. None of these quarterbacks blow me away. You know, JJ McCarthy's fine. Like, he's a game manager, right? Like, he would be a game. He's going to be a Kirk Cousins who can go in and he's going to have some big games, but I don't know that he's going to blow you away and win a ton of big ball games.
Well, I'll tell you this, and I may be standing on a ledge right now, but if you can draft Kirk Cousins, you take him first overall, just because you knew what Kirk Cousins was, and Kirk Cousins has been exactly what he was advertised as. You know, he hasn't won the big games, but, you know,
he's a winner.
Back-to-back years, he was, 10, 11, 12 wins for those Vikings teams, and
got a fat
he
contract
did really good
Atlanta.
things with Washington. And so, this quarterback class is very strange to me, and I feel like it's just filled with landmines, and I don't know why I feel this way. So let me just go. We've talked about Caleb Williams, JJ McCarthy. You know, he's kind of got the game manager tag on it, and I feel like a lot of that is scheme. You know, Harbaugh ran the I formation there for a lot. Maybe we haven't seen enough of J.J. McCarthy in what offense he will run in the NFL. So there's a little, landmines. Nobody's a sure thing. That's what I'm getting at. Drake May, who I probably like more than any of them, scares me to death because the last Tar Heel quarterback to get drafted number 2 or 3 overall was Mitchell Trubisky. And then you've got Jaden Daniels, the Heisman Trophy winner. His size scares me, but you're talking about throwing a football. There may not be anyone better at just throwing the football than Jaden Daniels. So I just feel like you've got a lot of landmines here. And if there was a surefire, and maybe Caleb Williams is. Maybe Caleb Williams, his off the field stuff, his style. If that's the only thing against him, you draft him number 1. That's just it.
Sure.
There's just drafting a quarterback is such an inexact science. It's almost like rolling dice here because, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL for the last 5 years was a nobody out of Wyoming, talking about Josh Allen. And then you've got Mahomes, who was drafted after Trubisky. There's such a crapshoot here, and more than anything, I believe, and I've said this in the NBA draft. We'll talk about it when the lottery comes up. Culture matters.
Yeah,
coaching matters. You've got to be able to be put into a position to succeed, even as a quarterback.
Yep. And here's my hot take. If I'm an NFL GM and I've got one of these top picks and I need a quarterback, I don't love anybody. You nailed it. Drake May scares the devil out of me. He's got some great skill. Jaden Daniels does not know how to get down or get out of bounds, and it's going to get absolutely murdered in the NFL. If I'm one of these top teams looking for a quarterback, the first thing I do is I pick up that phone and I call the LA Chargers and say, hey, is Justin Herbert movable for one of these quarterbacks? I know it's not. I'm not saying that, but that's going to be I'm going to make them tell me no because like you said, Harbaugh's coming in running a new system. He's running something completely different. Does he want JJ to come run his pro style offense? Does he want like a shot at Caleb Williams? All I'm saying, I'm not saying he says yes. All I'm saying is you make that phone call because Herbert has been wasted under Brandon Staley, a defensive minded head coach. He's one of the most talented, in my opinion, talent-wise, one of the most talented quarterbacks in the NFL. Yeah. Big arm, smart, mobile, the kind of guy you want.
The hypothetical Hall of Famer, Justin
Absolutely.
Herbert.
Absolutely. But I make that phone call and say, hey, is he, if I'm sitting, let's say I'm Minnesota sitting back there, hey, can we trade? And I get Justin Herbert, you get a pick, and you can get JJ or Jaden Daniels or whoever's there available at that position.
Yeah,
if I'm Robert Kraft, I make that phone call.
Of course. I mean, I think you always kind of gauge the waters on the elite ones, that may want to change the scenery. And I mean, the Chargers, his wide receiving core just got a lot worse, A
lot worse.
You lost Keenan Allen,
who's now a Bear.
Yeah. Oh, man. There's no chance.
If I'm Chicago, none. But if I'm Chicago, like personally me, because I'm not. Obviously they're enamored with Caleb Williams. They only brought in one quarterback for a private meeting. It was Caleb Williams. We know who they're going to draft is Caleb Williams. If I'm Ryan Poles, the GM of the Chicago Bears, that's the first thing I do personally is I call LA and say, look, you want Caleb Williams? I want Justin Herbert. Let's make this thing happen. And they've got the draft capital to do it. They've got a ton of trades. They've got a ton of picks and a ton of opportunity to do it. But like you said, it's not happening. But in an ideal world, that's what I would do as a GM.
Yeah. Non-quarterback related. Anybody really tickle your fancy? I know it's a big wide receiver draft. It's probably one of the most loaded wide receiver drafts you're going to see. You've got the two from LSU. You've got Malik Neighbors and not Brian Robinson.
What's the other kid from LSU?
Brian. You'll get it. Look it up for me. But then you've also got Marvin Harrison Jr. You've got Roma Dunze. You've got Brock Bowers from Georgia. You got a lot of pass catchers. It's going to litter that. The first 15 picks of the draft may just be a whole bunch of wide receivers and quarterbacks, and then Alt.
Brian Thomas. Yeah, Brian Thomas is the other LSU. So for me, I'm in a unique position here, right? Because my other favorite team, Tennessee Titans, are picking number 7 overall. I was talking about this yesterday at work. They asked me, what do you do? I said, don't overthink this, Rand. This is easy. You've got 3 options. If you don't trade back, you got 3 options. Number 7. I think you do it in this order. Joe Alt is the number 1 pick. That offensive line for Tennessee has been awful for the last few years, and this guy is a generational talent. His dad played in the NFL. Like he's the consummate professional. He's nasty. He's mean. He'll be a great left tackle in the NFL, a la Taylor Lewan for a lot of years to come.
Right.
That's number one. If not, if Malik Neighbors is there, that's number two. Like you need some help outside. D-Hop is slowing down. Like he's got 1 year left on his contract. You got Calvin Ridley in a big contract. He's going to be around for a while, but do you go ahead and draft D-Hop's replacement and let him kind of learn under two great professionals in Calvin Ridley on how not to bet on professional sports, D-Hop how to be a long-term NFL player? I think
also got the guy from Arkansas.
No, he ain't going to be there. Martin, you heard it here first. Treylon Burks is not a Titan after the NFL draft. I think he's going to get packaged and shipped out.
I love Treylon Burks at Arkansas too.
Yeah, but he just like he had injury problems in college, and guess what? Shocker, he still has injury problems in the pros. And then I think the third player that you can't miss on is Brock Bowers. If you trade back, especially and you land in that 11 or 12, if you trade with the Raiders or the Broncos, if they want to move up and say get Malik Neighbors, and you can land at 11 or 12. Brock Bowers is going to be a phenomenal NFL tight end. You know, we drafted Chiggy a couple years ago, and he hadn't quite panned out like what we thought he was going to be. And the Titans have always had a good
draft pick.
No, and the Titans have always had a good tight end, right? Delaney Walker, Frank Wycheck, like that's what we're known for. Brock Bowers could be the next one of those, but I think it's that order. It's Alt, Neighbors, Brock Bowers are the three that stand out to me as a Titans fan and who I would draft in that late position.
All right, well, let's hang out with the Titans for a second. We work for and are a part of Bluff City Media. It's located in Memphis. There's lots of Titans fans here. Mm-hmm. So let me just I'm going to go through. I've got the Ringers draft board up here. Mm-hmm. So the Titans are slated to pick 7. So they have got, as you said, they've got Joe Alt, offensive tackle, Notre Dame, as the 7th pick going to the Tennessee Titans. I want to go 1 through 6 here and just say if any of these fall to you, do you take them over Joe Alt? Okay. Caleb Williams, obviously not going to fall. So then you've got quarterbacks. The Titans currently have quarterback Mayonnaise Boy, Will Levis, and I assume he's going to be their starter. He's their plan to start this year.
Sadly.
So if Drake May falls, do you take Drake May over Joe Alt?
No.
Mayonnaise Boy. Remember?
No, I get it. Listen, it's well documented on this podcast. I am anti Will Levis, but no, I think you give him 1 more year if it's Joe Alt versus Drake May.
Jane Daniels.
That's one that kind of makes me think a little bit. But the last one that we had was was Malik Neighbors, or not Malik Neighbors, Malik Willis. I don't
know. He was not the player that Jane Daniels is.
No, I'm sticking with Joe Alt over Jaden Daniels.
Okay. Marvin Harrison Jr. still.
You take Marvin Harrison Jr.
Okay.
That guy's a generational talent, man. Good Lord.
I've got a feeling you're not going to take J.J. McCarthy. So then the only other pick 6, according to the Ringer, is Rome Odunze, another receiver, University of Washington.
He's big body. I like him if we trade back to 10 or 11, but I think at 7, especially if that, because that means if Rome Odunze is gone, that means Malik Neighbors is there, and I would rather have Malik Neighbors.
Okay, well they've got Malik Neighbors going 8 right after you. So would you rather have Neighbors or Joe Alt?
Well, I'm sticking to my order earlier. I think it's Joe Alt, Malik Neighbors, Brock Bowers in that order.
Okay. So I'm a firm believer when you're drafting that you probably go with your first pick, especially when you've got a high pick, like 7. Or when, to take this back to the Grizzlies are going to have a top 7 pick.
Yep.
You go with the best player. Yep. I believe that, typically if you're drafting top 7, you're going to get an opportunity at a player that can change your franchise. Absolutely. And so you go with best available and you make it work for more times than not.
Yep.
If that's the case, who do you think is going to be the better player in 5 years? Joe Alt, Brock Bowers, Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, let's take Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't think he's there at 7.
Malik Neighbors.
And
I think it's Joe Alt. I think it's Joe Alt, man. He's just got all the physical tools. He's a 4-year starter at Notre Dame or 3-year starter at Notre Dame. Didn't miss many games. He's healthy. He's big. He's athletic.
It's a cornerstone piece of a franchise.
He is, man. And that's where we've struggled on the offensive line. And it's just been so bad watching Ben Jones and Taylor Lewan go, and it's just being shambles. And so for me, man, like it doesn't sound like I differ because everything I read and watch on Twitter, everybody is like, they're narrowing it down, right? It's been Bowers, Neighbors, Alt. Now it's down to Alt and Neighbors. And most people are saying, hey, if Joe Alt's there, you take him. And I agree. I think he solves a massive problem for us, gives Mayonnaise Boy the best opportunity to succeed. And then, you've got Calvin Ridley and D-Hop for another year. And we just see kind of what happens. And I just think you can't miss Joe Alt. Like, I think you can't miss.
Yeah. For the record, CBS Sports also has the Titans taking Joe Alt at 7.
Yeah. ESPN does too. That everybody's like, that's where it's leaning towards.
It seems to be the consensus, and that probably tells you something.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. NFL draft time is always interesting. I like the draft a lot.
I got a couple players that.
Oh, go ahead, please.
I got a couple of players I'd like to talk about. I think another one that's going to be really good, and he's getting a lot of hype recently because he's a workout freak. He's a gym rat. Is Byron Murphy, the defensive tackle from Texas. Like, that is a grown man.
Yeah.
He's a grown man. And they've got him. ESPN has him going 8 to Atlanta. He's going to go somewhere in that like 8 to 10, 11 range. And the other team, like I've seen Chicago as another destination for him with that 9th overall pick. Though I think they're probably going to go, they probably go receiver there, one more receiver, maybe like Roma Dunze if he's still there. But Byron Murphy is one to watch out for. And then, hang on, sorry, I had it pulled up. It's
while you do that,
notes?
For me, it's Jared Verse. I loved Jared Verse at Florida State.
Yeah, so good. Sorry, my notes. Adonai Mitchell from Texas. I'm staying in Texas. I think that guy is electric. He is explosive.
Huge.
ESPN has him going at 28th overall, backfilling for Stephon Diggs' departure at Buffalo. I think that's a beautiful fit for him. He's a big, like you said, big target, but like he moves super well. And watching him in the Alabama game, he just was, he was electric. He's so good, man. So good. And so that's another one that I think will be a good professional football player for a long time.
Yeah. With the NFL draft, it's important to realize the highest paid players in the NFL right now, the players that teams are building around are edge rushers, offensive tackles, and quarterbacks. And so when you're picking in this top 7 picks, that's what you're typically going to see. You can't win big without all 3 of them.
Yeah, don't overthink. That's why Dallas Turner will be one of the top 15 picks. I'm not super sold on him, but he'll be one of the top 15 picks.
He needs to go to Cincinnati, wear 59, and just be Vontaze perfect.
It just hurt people. Even though he did not deserve DPOY last year in the SEC, but that's a different conversation.
Yeah. So, you've got any final thoughts? Like you said earlier, by the time you guys are listening to this, this is probably all foolish talk because you're going to see what happens, and we have not. And so, let us know where we were wrong. We'll see it ourselves. Be sure to call us idiots. We like any sort of interaction. So, with that being said, I do have one fun. We've talked about it on this show. There's nothing more fun than baseball stats. And there has been an unfortunate Mike Trout stat. If you guys know, Mike Trout is the best player that's played on the worst franchise in baseball history. Mm-hmm. And another one of those stats, he today hit a 115 mile per hour exit velo home run to take the MLB leading 10th home run. He has more home runs than anybody else in the MLB with 10 home runs as the Angels fall and lose 6-1. So leads the MLB in home runs, hits a home run, and they lose 6-1.
We're both big fans on this podcast of people getting their bag, getting their money secured, and that's exactly what he did, right? He got a massive contract from the Angels. It just sucks that arguably the best baseball player of our generation is just going to
ever.
Yeah, it's just going to drown in misery out with a bad franchise on the West Coast and not get any primetime games and doesn't play for a better team. And I hate that. Because it's just absolutely incredible.
Right. So
at least Shohei Ohtani got out of there and he can place his bets with the Dodgers now instead of with the Angels.
Yeah. Nothing's funnier than those pictures of him standing beside Mookie Betts in the dugout where it says Ohtani bets, and it gets screenshot every single time.
Every single time, and then they're like talking on the bench, and it's like either Ohtani didn't need a translator or Mookie Betts knows Japanese. It's like,
yeah. So, Ole Miss got beat 2 out of 3 this weekend against Georgia. I apologize to all of our listeners. I said Alabama last week when we were talking about the show, about the upcoming weekend series for Ole Miss. I was thinking the next home weekend we did go play at Georgia. Char Condon killed us. We lost 2 out of 3 against Georgia.
I don't know how we lost 2 out of 3 to y'all. Like just such a bad, just a bad beat, man. Because we swept Auburn, a bad SEC team, in Super Bulldog weekend, and did it convincingly, which we needed. Beat Memphis in the Tuesday night midweek. Before we have, I think we have Alabama. We have Alabama this weekend, I believe.
No, we've got Alabama.
You have Alabama. Then we've got, I think it's at Vanderbilt.
A week off.
Yeah, I think it's at Vanderbilt this weekend, which is not, the road's not getting any easier. Oh, no. We've got Arkansas this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
We got Arkansas this weekend. Well, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, we might not be talking about baseball.
It's at Fayetteville. That's the worst part. It's at Fayetteville. So,
Ole Miss is 6-12 now in the SEC, yet they have an RPI of 22 in the country. They've gotten beat by a bunch of good teams, but they haven't been very impressive in their losses. So, season's over for Ole Miss. There's no way they make the postseason. They would have to go, they'd have to go at least 8-2 or down the stretch.
D1 released it, and I was right. It is Vanderbilt this week. At Vanderbilt, and it's Arkansas next weekend. Ole Miss is in the midweek for the Governor's Cup. But D1 Baseball released their odds for making Omaha for the first time this year. They released that it was going to – the top teams, obviously at the top, you've got Tennessee, you've got Arkansas, you got Clemson, you got Florida State, a lot of the teams. Kentucky's high up there. State clocks in at plus 600, and Ole Miss was plus 1,100 odds to make Omaha.
Hey, just let us in the tournament and we'll win it.
I mean, at plus 600, I might throw a few dollars on Mississippi State now that I'm in Tennessee and actually bet on sports and just see what happens. You know, throw $10 down and see what happens.
Yeah. So, well, good deal, man. It's been a good show. I hope you have a safe trip to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Yeah. Hopefully, you get to go see a good friend of the show, Lauren Massey. I hope he's there and y'all get to.
It's not going to work out this time, but we're working on that. I sent him a screenshot today. Right now, D1 Baseball has us projected as the number 2 seed in the Clemson regional. I said, if this happens, you'll have a visitor because I'm coming to that. Right. That'd be super cool to go to.
Absolutely.
But unfortunately, he won't be there. But it's going to be a nice little weekend getaway anyway. Take Max to Myrtle Beach will be nice to get away and have just a downtime. So I'm officially on vacation mode, baby. So I'm good to go, man. I'll see y'all next week. Bronzed, beautiful, happy to be here.
You go get your swim trunks and your flippy floppies.
That's it. I'm on
go
a boat.
Enjoy. Yeah. Go hunt for some shark teeth.
Will do. Hey man, remember, there's no refunds for the $2 Sports Show.
Because you always get what you pay for. See you guys.
Thank you for listening to the $2 Sports Show. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a rating and a review wherever you download your podcasts. Also, like and subscribe to Bluff City Media's YouTube page. For comprehensive coverage of all things Memphis sports, head over to www.bluffcitymedia.co and find out how you can become an insider. We will see you back here next time.